Welcome back again to the next video, and now we are on the section here that says expenses in Zoho books report, and there's no space after report or after books. I think that's long enough, and this explains it enough. So basically, what we got to do here is we need to go in and get the expenses in Zoho books that have been written off as an invoice that have been basically invoiced to Jeremy Buendia. Now, we haven't done it yet, but basically, like the revenue, we we don't bill Jeremy Buendia based upon like the number of hours we worked or anything like that. We have an exclusive partnership with Jeremy Buendia, and it's basically based upon a revenue split. And so, like, we actually invoice Jeremy, but we don't invoice him, as in, we don't give him the invoices. We just do it to essentially, you know, it gives us like a way to look at reports and analyze what we've expensed for Jeremy. And in order to do that, we have to invoice him. So it does that. And then it basically allows us to get some of these expenses. One of the problems that it doesn't do is it doesn't allow us to get the expense content written. And like Wilmay was the one that figured out why it wasn't doing that. And the theory behind it is because it's not really considered an expense in the report. It's put as a cost of goods sold as content written. I'm not sure why, in theory, they have it as a cost of goods sold. Maybe it's because with the other clients, it's considered like a COGS, but even then, I kind of wonder why it would be considered a COGS for them. But it is what it is. It's no big deal. We'll get that separately, but well, it is kind of a big deal, and you'll see why. And part of the problem is you have to break down the cost for it all. But anyways, we're going to get into that next. That is the last puppy that we have to take care of. So this one, we got to do the expenses in Zoho books. So I do have a link here that you can click on, and I am a little bit bummed out because like I did this report and did a video for it, and then I went through the video and I noticed my screen wasn't moving. It like froze, and I was still talking and it recorded my conversation, but it froze on my screen. So I did this whole report already. This is my second time. So I did have a few goof ups during the process. So luckily, like I ended up doing it again anyway. So fortunate that it, uh, happened during that time. I would have just kept the goof ups, and if it worked, I'm not too concerned about goofing up while I'm doing the video. Um, all right, so like here's what we have to do. Like we get to this section, it's called customize report, right? So like I thought in theory we could just change these attributes at the top where it says like the beginning date and end date, and it would put in what we want, but nope, it didn't work. So we have to do that manually. But like this is the expense report by customer. And this is the first stage that we need to get to. And this is where I goofed up because I was trying to go directly into Jeremy and seeing how we can change the dates and stuff, and you couldn't do it. Wouldn't allow you. But like, although I conveniently have the URL here, there are times when a URL could change. Like Zoho could decide that, like instead of having the URL say exp, it could have it could put expense here, right, instead, or whatever they want to change, and so that URL might end up like being bad and won't be useful. So I'm going to show you, just in case that happens, where you can get this report to pop up. Like if you were just going to go to the homepage of Zoho Books and you needed to navigate to it. So the next section you need to go to is reports. once you get here. And then you'll need to scroll down a little bit here, and you'll need to get expenses by customer. Okay, now before you can go in and you can click on here to get the report just for Jeremy. But before we do that, you need to change the dates on this part of the report. So we can change that to custom. Oh, oh, scroll, scroll, scroll. Sometimes my mouse likes to play games with me. So we're doing it exactly the same way we normally do. We're just going to put it at the 1st of 2006, January 1st, 2006. And then we're going to put the end date as the last day of the month. And it didn't do it. There you go. And those all look good. So just click Run Report. Now, like, so you know, like, don't click this. If you click this, this brings up like some graphs and like some other cool beneficial stuff. But we want is like an actual breakdown of all these expenses. So this is not a lot of expenses. It's only like about 5,000 when you compare it to everything else, but still necessary for us to put in. So once we get here, you can see the date is good. And the reason you had to do it back in the date, you can see you can only go back to expenses by customer. You don't see that little link up here that says customize report. So you have to start at that stage, click on Jeremy after you've changed the date, and then you'll get the right data. So we're just going to go ahead and export it as Excel, and download it does. I'm going to click open, and now we're basically in the report. So a lot of information here. 99% of it we don't need. The main thing we need is going to be the date. So we'll go ahead and copy that over. I do have a bunch of tabs open, and okay, this is the one we just copied. So this one we don't need. Oh, that was evaluating some people for a new position. And then this one looks like the same report, but maybe that was when I did it the first time. So anyways, now we only got 2 spreadsheets open, the ones that we want. So we're going to put date here. Now we need to test this out and see, is this date actually, is Excel or the spreadsheet application recognizing this as a date? And I tried changing the format and it did not work. So we need to copy this into some type of text editor, primarily like Notepad if you're using Windows. And so like from here, we click Control A to select all. If you're using a Mac, it's Command A. And then I just hit Control X and go to the top again, paste it, and lo and behold, now it's going into the date format that we like, especially in America. So since we've already got this done, we could go ahead and get the formula put in for the week ending. Now here it's an actual date, and this is set to 00, so you wouldn't need to put the int, convert it to an integer. But for consistency, we'll go ahead and do it. And then we need to do the VLOOKUP value, and VLOOKUP, and the value is going to be the text of this, and we want DDD is the day, and then we need to go to the table, VLOOKUPs, worksheet, grab this, press F4 to make it, oh shoot, I have a touch screen and my knuckle bumped it, and it, unhighlighted what I had, my selection, and then 2 false. Okay. So we can go ahead and expand that down, and it all looks good. So let's go back to the spreadsheet we downloaded with the expenses. So like let's just look here. We have uh, the category and the subcategory here. And so let's look here and see what we kind of need to put for that. Now, like the vendor name, I'm going to consider as like the subcategory, okay? And part of the problem is some of these don't have fields, and we'll need to go back in and change those. It's, to me, a bookkeeping error. And then, like, we have the actual expenses here, soft transaction type, expense, account name, software. These ones will go as the category. And then these can be the subcategories. So we can see, like, okay, under software, we had this much in member mouse, we had this much for clean, yada yada. So here, this is expense revenue. This is obviously expense. And I'm doing it wrong. It should be a number 2 expense. And then we'll need to expand that down. And we have, and we did. The description, we could just put the notes here that they have. So, where are notes, notes, notes? There we are. So we can just paste those in. Those are, in my opinion, good enough. The quantity, we're just going to put 1 for everything. And then the rate. So there's 2 different types of amounts here. And you're going to see one is amount with tax, and then one is just amount. I think the way the bookkeeping does it is they just put everything in with the tax already, if there is tax. Most of the expenses, at least I know with Buendia, aren't going to be taxed because it's all online. But just to compare, if you look at the amount difference between the amount with tax and the amount without the tax, there is none. It's basically 0, right? So, essentially either one would work. But I would say, we would always like want to make sure the tax is included because, like in theory, when you buy something and there's an expense and you bought that product, like let's say I went to the store and I bought something, like how much did I pay for it? Well, I paid for the amount plus tax, right? And that was my total cost, whether I paid the tax or not, like, or I break it out or not, like that's still what I spent. So same thing with bookkeeping, like we just look at the entire amount with tax. So just to make sure you never run into that issue, I would just copy the amount with tax, and then that should be more consistent and accurate. So and then we can just take this times this, which just equals the rate there anyways, because we changed the quantity to all 1. So we're done with that, and then yeah, we're pretty much done with this. But the thing that I mentioned to you was like categories, they're all filled, right? But not subcategory. Um, and so like important that we get these filled in. Um, so this is education and training, and I doubt there's only probably just one. So we'll just put biohacking secrets here. And oh yeah, see, there's one here already. So these blanks, try to find the ones that are already here. I was just about to say that. So meals and entertainment, there's only one meals and entertainment, but we'll put Buffalo Wild Wings. Oh man, I miss that place. Like, I love buffalo wings. And luckily there is some good places here in Bacolod where I live, but man, I sure do miss Buffalo Wild Wings. They got the best. Like those are like some of my favorite. It's the biggest wing chain in the states actually. Um, this one says Jeremy Buendia monthly pro competition plan. Um, I don't know what that is. It's $39. So when you run into this one, just put it as like, what's the name of that software? Member Mouse. Uh, Probably not correct, but the thing is like with accounting, you have a cost and benefit factor. Um, like like if this was like $4,000, you better believe your butt I would look it up because I don't want to miscategorize it. But like a small miscategorization of $39 is not going to hurt the statements. So like the cost benefit analysis of finding something for $40 just is not worth it, right? So this is Infusionsoft, which is an old email marketing software we used before, and that showed up. Subscription to Fuse Deluxe. That says fucks. That sounds like a bad word. Sorry, I thought that was funny. Fuxed. How much is it? $60. Not that much either. So I'll just put Fused, I guess. It's, you know, not really the benefit. I'm almost like we should just put another there, right? So I'll Z to A it. Everything looks good now. Like, in theory, everything should be correct because it came from the Zoho books. But obviously, there were some mistakes there. As we saw, the uh, clients were all fully filled in. But I mean, it doesn't affect the income statement on their end, but would on ours. So this one is done. So I am going to stop the video and go through it again, and hopefully this time it worked. All right, and so next section we're going to do is the content writing, and that's by far the one that sucks the most. But I'm going to be starting it from the beginning of how we need to expense it, and we're just going to consistently stay with that flow, so you won't have to do a lot. But it'll be good if I start from the beginning and you can see kind of what you need to do. So stay tuned, and we will get into that video next.